If someone handed you $10,000 right now, no strings attached, would you actually know what to do with it? Most people would either let it sit in a checking account, earning basically nothing, or panic buy whatever stock is trending on social media. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I would invest $10,000 if I had to do it today, step by step, dollar by dollar. Not theory, not it depends, an actual plan. By the end of this video, you'll have a framework you can use whether you have $10,000, $1,000, or $100,000. Let's get into it.
If you're new here, I make videos about personal finance and investing, breaking things down in plain English. No jargon, no fluff. Before we dive in, one disclaimer. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and this isn't personalized financial advice. This is how I personally think about money, and it's meant to help you build your own framework. Always consider your own situation, or talk to a professional before making big financial decisions. Okay, let's talk about the $10,000.
Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. If you don't have an emergency fund, investing is the wrong first move. Before I touch a single index fund, I'm asking myself 3 questions. Question 1, do I have high-interest debt? If you've got credit card debt sitting at 22%, 25%, even 28% APR, no investment is reliably going to beat that. Paying that off is the investment. It's a guaranteed return. So if I had $10,000 and $5,000 of credit card debt, the math is simple. I'm paying that off first. That's an automatic, guaranteed return that the stock market can't promise you. Question 2, do I have an emergency fund? This is the boring part of finance that nobody likes to talk about, but it's the part that protects everything else. I'd want 3 to 6 months of essential expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. Not invested, not locked up, just liquid and accessible. Why does this matter so much? Because if your car breaks down or you lose your job and you don't have this fund, you'll be forced to sell your investments at the worst possible time, maybe even at a loss. Question 3, am I getting free money from my employer? If your job offers a 401k match, say they match 4% of your contributions, and you're not taking advantage of that, you are leaving free money on the table. That's a 100% return before the market even does it.
I'm going to break this into 5 buckets. I'll explain the reasoning behind each one, not just the number. Bucket 1, $1,000 into a high-yield savings account. Top-up emergency fund. Even if I technically have an emergency fund, I like padding it a little more when I get a windfall like this. High-yield savings accounts right now are paying meaningfully more interest than a traditional bank account. We're talking several times more. This money isn't meant to grow aggressively. It's meant to be there when life happens. Car repair, medical bill, unexpected flight home, whatever it is, this bucket exists so I never have to touch my investments early. Bucket 2, $4,000 into a Roth IRA. This is where it gets interesting. A Roth IRA is one of the most underrated accounts available to everyday investors in the US. Here's why I love it. You contribute money you've already paid taxes on, and then it grows completely tax-free. When you retire and start withdrawing, you don't owe the IRS a single dollar on the growth. For 2026, the contribution limit is up to $7,000 if you're under 50, so putting $4,000 in still leaves room to add more later in the year if I want to max it out. Inside that Roth IRA, I'm not picking individual stocks. I'm going with a low-cost, broad market index fund, something like a total US stock market fund or an S&P 500 fund. Historically, the S&P 500 has returned around 10% annually on average over the long run. Nobody can guarantee that going forward, but it's the most proven, boring, unglamorous strategy that has consistently built wealth for regular people over decades. The key word here is decades. This isn't money I'm touching in 2 years. This is money I'm letting compound for 20, 30, 40 years.
Bucket 3,
$3,000 into a taxable brokerage account. Once I've maxed out the tax advantage stuff I want to for now, the next move is a regular taxable brokerage account. Think Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab. Same strategy here. Low-cost index funds, broad diversification. Why a separate account if it's the same strategy? Because this money is more flexible. I can access it before retirement age without penalties, which matters if I want to use it for a house down payment, starting a business, or just having investment flexibility outside of retirement accounts. I'm not trying to pick the next big winning stock here. I want to be really clear about something. Trying to beat the market by picking individual stocks is incredibly difficult, even for professionals. Studies consistently show that the majority of actively managed funds fail to beat a simple index fund over the long run. So instead of trying to be clever, I'm being consistent. Boring wins. Bucket 4, $1,500 into individual stocks or dividend stocks. Now, I'm not a robot. I understand the appeal of picking individual companies, so I do set aside a smaller portion for this, but I treat it differently mentally. This is my conviction bucket. If I believe strongly in a handful of companies, businesses I understand, with real products, real revenue, and a competitive advantage, I'll put a small amount here. Some people prefer dividend-paying stocks specifically because they...
Bucket 5, $500 into higher risk, higher reward assets. Optional. This last chunk is what I'd call play money, a small allocation to something higher risk. For some people, that might be a small crypto allocation. For others, it might be a thematic ETF in a sector they believe in, like clean energy or semiconductors. The rule with this bucket is simple. Only invest what you could genuinely lose without it affecting your life. This is 5% of the total. It's there to scratch the itch of wanting to swing for something bigger without putting your financial foundation at risk. Let's zoom out for a second, because the order I did this in actually matters more than the specific dollar amounts. Notice what I did. Safety first, tax advantages second, long-term growth third, and speculation last. That's not an accident. That's the priority list almost every solid financial plan follows, just with different numbers depending on your situation. If you're someone who's debating whether to put all $10,000 into one hot stock you saw on social media, I want to gently push back on that. The most successful long-term investors aren't the ones who found one lucky stock. They're the ones who stayed consistent, diversified, and let time do the heavy lifting. Time in the market beats timing the market. I know it's a cliche at this point, but it's a cliche because it's true. Historically, missing just the 10 best days in the market over a multi-decade period can cut your overall returns dramatically. Trying to perfectly time when to buy and sell is a losing game for almost everyone, professionals included. Let's flip this for a second, because knowing what to avoid is just as valuable as knowing what to do. I would not put it all into one stock, even if it's a company I love. Concentration risk is real, and the company that feels unstoppable today can struggle tomorrow. I would not try to time the market. Waiting for the perfect dip usually means watching from the sidelines while your money does nothing. I would not chase trends I don't understand. If I can't explain in 2 sentences why something is a good investment, I'm not putting money into it just because it's popular online. I would not ignore fees. A fund with a high expense ratio can quietly eat away thousands of dollars over the years, compared to a low-cost index fund doing basically the same job. I would not skip the emergency fund step to invest more aggressively. I've seen people regret this. Markets can dip right when life happens, and being forced to sell at a loss to cover an emergency is one of the most avoidable financial mistakes there is. Let's recap the full breakdown. $1,000, high-yield savings, building the safety net. $4,000, Roth IRA, tax-free long-term growth. $3,000, taxable brokerage, flexible index fund investing. $1,500, individual stocks I personally believe in. $500, higher risk, speculative bucket.
That's the full $10,000, working across 5 purposes: safety, tax efficiency, long-term growth, conviction, and a small amount of calculated risk. Now, here's the thing. This is my framework, based on my own goals and risk tolerance. Your version might look different depending on your age, your debt situation, your income, or what you're investing toward. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this: have a plan before you have the money. Most people do it backwards. They get money first and figure it out as they go, often making emotional decisions in the moment. Decide your framework now, so that when opportunity or extra cash comes your way, you already know exactly what to do with it. If this video helped you think about your own money differently, drop a like and let me know in the comments. If you had $10,000 right now, what would your breakdown look like? I genuinely want to see how everyone's approaching this differently. Subscribe if you want more videos like this, breaking down real financial strategies in plain English. I'll see you in the next one.